On record, it is Thursday, March 1st, 2012. This is bargaining session number 7 between local 747 and the city, and it's now, we'll call it 10:08. And that's the meeting prior to the last one. The city kind of put out its final proposal, so I'm just waiting for a response.
Okay. With that being said, the way I'm reading this is you are not going to accept any other offers from our side. You wouldn't.
I hate to put such a blanket no on that, but
As far as,
do you have, tell me about the proposals. I'm open to at least listen to what you might be proposing, and then
okay.
I'll give that, give you an answer.
You had made a statement, I think we made a statement a while back regarding the cost, the possible cost of the 14 to 7 day work cycle.
Right.
Equal to I believe it was
about a percent and a half
raise.
Like
okay. Would that be, and we could put it down in writing, it could be a proposal, rather than be a 14 to 7 day work cycle, make that a pay raise in place of the 14 to 7 day work cycle, which then in turn, of course, it would be pensionable.
Since the city already committed to that and was willing to go with that amount of money, if it's not additional money, the city might consider that. Do you think the chief would have any, it's still all accounting stuff, it's really just budget.
Yeah, I don't want to put words in the chief's mouth, but that's a city issue. That doesn't have an operational impact.
And I wouldn't be able to commit to that right off the spot. I'd have to run that up. But since the city had already said yes to the 7 day cycle, knowing that it had a price tag on it, exchanging that amount of money for something else might be okay. Are you proposing that?
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about too, as far as the pension that's open.
Okay.
You're firm on.
Absolutely firm on the pension.
Absolutely.
That is going to. We want that to remain open, just for flexibility for both sides. We have no idea what the future is going to hold with pension reform. What we do about future GWIs. It's all fair game.
Okay, and
the options.
The min-maximum, there's no, as far as
we're not going to commit to a minimum.
Not going to commit to a minimum maximum, which the opener is June 1, I believe.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, if we did go with the GWI, it would be for 13.
Correct.
So there wouldn't need to be a reopener on that issue. In June, if we already had, if you already agreed to a 1% or 1.5%.
Okay, would it be retro back to the beginning of this contract?
No, it would be for FY13. It's not. We don't have anything in the budget for 12. With 12 half over now. Okay. If we were going to do it, that 174, because that 174 wouldn't have gone into effect until.
Right. The 14 to 7
anyway,
wouldn't have gone until 2013.
Actually, right. Correct. That is
right.
Correct.
Okay.
It would have been the first payroll of fiscal year 13.
We had talked about some information, possibly also looking at some other avenues. I don't know if you had that or.
Well, yes, and it related to the request to go down to the 48-hour work week.
Right.
And just to try to even, for informational purposes, I tried to get a little creative and come up with ways to actually make that happen. And I have some notes here. I'll share that quickly. I did this for 51 hours and then 50 hours. And if you look at what is on the table right now, all the things that are on it, it's a package worth $386,325. Okay, so what I was thinking, if you wanted to go down to 51 hours, if that was more important than all of those items that make up that 386, again, the city might consider doing the 51 since it has the same cost as all these other things. Now, if you jump over to 50 hour, it gets a little more expensive, and that's $850,000 for you to go to a 50-hour work week. So if you take off all the things that are on the table currently, and then look down at the summary, there are a few other things that you could look at to make it kind of a transparent wash, so to speak, that you would get a 50-hour work week, but you might not get all these other things. For instance, the EMT pay being pensionable, stack pay increases, the boot reimbursement, things like that. You're giving that up, but then also if you look down there in the summary on the right column, a few other things worth money there. And this was really just for information, for you to start thinking about what is really important to the group, what's going to have the most appeal to the group. Is it the 50-hour work week, or a reduction in the work week, or is it some of these other odds and ends?
Call a caucus?
Sure. Thank you. All right, it's, we'll call it 10:15, and we'll just be outside. Come get us when you're ready.
Okay.
You leave another copy of it too?
Yeah. You.
Or can we make,
No, I mean, we'll give you.
I'll run and make you a couple.
Yeah, good. If someone will make you a copy.
is there one close by there? You know people in here.
Oh, he did officially? I heard there was talk of it.
I didn't know he did officially.
Birds are gone.
Birds resigned?
Yeah, I think in a couple weeks, so like
Yeah,
March.
March 9th.
Oh, really? Wow. Do we?
His wife got a, story I heard is his wife got a really good offer and awesome family. So
Good.
Yeah.
he's a good guy. I hate to
Yeah, I know.
but he,
Bill, you ready? Anything on? Oh, okay.
Okay, we're back from caucus. It's, we'll call it 10:35.
Just a couple questions on the FYI or the info.
Yeah.
On the, right under the 50-hour work week, the reduced max annual leave balance by 100 hours at max, would that be?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it would only apply to those at max, because the payout for those who aren't even at max could be 30 years, or it could be 20 years, who knows how long.
And it would be
there would
for-
be no benefit to the city. And that's, just let me finish with that. That
Okay.
100 hours, reducing that 78,000 would be if everyone who is at max now and was eligible to retire did so all at once today. We're talking something like, here's the list. It's, 100 people. So
At retirement age.
yeah, they could. So that's anyone with 20 years of service or more. So there's a ton there. So that's not a 78,000. That 78,000 wouldn't all be realized at one time.
Right.
But it's still money that would be paid out over time if all these people retired right now. So that's how I came up with that. So anyway, to answer the question, the max now is what, 592 and some change.
What would you do about the people that are at the max? They would have to use it down, or
There's nobody at the max.
just one?
Well,
Just time back to the city every day, they look at their deeds, that doesn't make.
what do you want us to do with the people that are at max?
What was stop? You just take 100 hours away from them?
Or as it's used, they do not read
How
through
they're
it.
gonna stop accruing.
Well, what happens now with the DC unit, the supervisory unit, they kept what they had, and they don't earn any until they use it
Until they,
down. under the
that's
account.
how we did it with the annual leave
Right.
thing too, so I would assume that's how it would be done here. We're not just, no, we wouldn't just take it away. But there are several options.
One other question.
Yeah.
Just below that, you have a 1.5% reduction on GWI in either
Right.
2013 or 14.
Right.
It could be read a couple of ways, I just want to clarify it. If in 2013, June 1, we open up for 2013, there's a, for instance, a 2% GWI proposal, that would basically reduce it to 0.5%.
Correct.
Okay,
And if there was nothing in 13 and there was one in 14, same
Okay.
thing would apply.
next question. If there was no GWI in 13, to 0, would our GWI currently in position be reduced by 1.5%? In other words, where we're at now?
You could. If you could either, let's do it in scenarios. FY13, let's say there is money for a GWI.
Right.
It's 2%.
Okay,
You could choose to take just the 0.5.
right,
Okay. Let's say in FY13, there's no GWI
right,
negotiated. You could either wait and to see if there's one in 14,
and
do
take
the
this
same
from
thing
there.
you could have done in 13, or if you just bite the bullet and say, we'll take a 1.5% pay cut.
Okay, so that is an option.
It's an option.
Okay,
I didn't think it would be a popular one, but
right, okay.
Not that I can see.
but
I just
but it all
clarifying.
depends on what's more important to the membership,
Right.
the reduced work week or the pay.
Right,
So if we don't take it in 13 and say we'll defer to 14, but then there's also not one in 14 anyway, we get the reduction.
If there's not one in 14, you win then.
If there's 13 and 14,
It would just be zeros, and then that would be, the
what
city
do you
would
get
try
back
to
to
do it.
1.4?
It would take you through the